So I'd like to welcome our next speaker, Alejandra Vasco. Alejandra Vasco is a research botanist at the Botanical Research Institute of Texas. She received a PhD in biology from the City University of New York and the New York Botanical Garden, and a BS in biology from the Universidad de Antioquia, Colombia. Alejandra's research focus is on the diversity and evolution of ferns. Together with colleagues Weston Testo and Michael Sundu, Alejandra leads Ferns of Colombia, a project funded by the National Science Foundation to document and explore the high diversity of ferns in Colombia. And without further ado, I'm going to pass it along to you, Ale.
Thanks, Anna, and thanks everyone for coming. I'm very excited to be here at this meeting and also sharing a little bit of this path about this integrative art science exhibition that we have now on view at the Botanical Research Institute of Texas in the Forward Botanic Garden. And first of all, I would like to thank Anna for inviting me to tell this story, and thank all of you all again. I think that libraries are so important. I really love libraries. I think for research, for human enjoyment, for so many reasons they are so important. So I'm very glad to be speaking in this meeting, and I think we need to also get this message out through the public and the community. I know here we might be preaching to the choir when we said that libraries are very important, but I think we also need that positive feedback of our colleagues so that we can keep going and kind of fighting the good fight about research, knowledge, and truth. So like I say, I'm going to be talking about this exhibition that we have now on view, and it will be a little bit, let me see, it's not, okay. The stories, the research that was involved, the challenges, the lessons learned, and perspective. Too long so that we can have time for questions and comments. So, but before starting to talk about the exhibition, I want to introduce you the main characters of these stories, and is this group of beautiful women. And here you can see Dornith Doherty, who is the artist and the most important part of this story. But here are also Ana Niño from the library that you know, Tiana Rehman from the Herbarium, I myself from research. And so I'm going to take you a little bit behind the scenes through this really amazing exhibition, what it took us. But this is what I'm talking about. Like, there's just 4 of us really behind this exhibition, of course, with the help of so many people that I will acknowledge at the end and during the talk. And also, before I start, I want to really acknowledge the support that we had from the funding institutions and from our institutions, so that we can devote the time to put together this exhibition, the Forward Botanic Garden and the Botanical Research Institute of Texas, the University of North Texas, and of course NSF, which is the agency that is founding this amazing project, Ferns of Colombia, that Anna was talking about. So because many of you have not been to the exhibition, I want to give you a very fast virtual tour of it, and so that you have a sense of what we are talking about. And hopefully, because many of you work in libraries, and libraries a lot of times are also connected with art, and also they have safeguard a lot of the catalogs and the books. So hopefully this will give you some ideas too, if you have similar things happening at your institutions, what can happen. And well, just to tell you a little bit of how we did it, sometimes we are surprised that we did it, but we are very, very glad the exhibition is here. So the artworks are installed throughout the BRIT building, not only in the exhibit hall, and that has been very transformative too, because they have transformed different spaces that were not normally visited by guests because they were not part of the gallery of the art space. So the exhibition, as you can see here, has three components. It's a tripartite exhibition, and as you can see also, well, it's divided in three sections that can be broadly divided into themes, which also are tied to the title that we put past, present, and future. So artworks that engage with the past, chronicle the present, and project our possible ecological futures. That's what we put in our catalog that you're going to see. So a little bit about this past, and I kind of like, we largely can put them there, but I want you to also start thinking, and this is something we kind of like have tried to convey to the public, is that although this is past, it's not forgotten. And it's also, that's the beauty of natural history collections, of libraries, is that you don't know who is going to use the different objects that you safeguard in the future, in 10 years, in 100 years, in 1,000 years. We really don't know what we can use them for. And that's why we have to safeguard them, so that they can be used in the future for different things, and so that we can create and reimagine objects. So the past is in the second floor in the research wing of the BRIT building in front of the herbarium. And this exhibition is large scale transparency at 6.5 times 14 feet. You can see there the inches. They are installed directly onto existing windows. And these are translucent window installations, and they were created from a large clear fern leaf slides made by Dr. Howard Arnott in 1956. We are going to see a little bit about that later. Then there is the present, and we have 12 frame prints of ferns recently collected in Colombia with as part of the Ferns of Colombia project. They are against, all these ferns are against the newspapers, the original newspapers in which they were pressed, and they have been illuminated with light boxes, photographed, and digitally edited. So the titles of the frame artworks contain both the Latin name of the species and the news headline. And that was picked basically by Dornith, the artist, and I. She didn't want to put anything that was not correct or just kind of like that someone was going to feel bad about it. And as you can see, we tried to do this exhibition bilingual. So as much as possible, we didn't have time to make everything bilingual, but that was very nice. And I want to play the video again so that you can see that the dry ferns become ghostly silhouettes floating above the background of the contemporary news. So this is the present part. And then the future is a video projection that it's projected in the exhibit hall normally, but in the opening 9, we did an outside projection that was very amazing to see. And it was projected against the BRIT building, as you can see here, and they are DNA barcodes and specimen silhouette from the Ferns of Colombia project. And it's a 5 minutes, so people were entering and they were able to see the projection. But we also projected inside the gallery for the opening night, and during normal hours. It's always there. Here you can see a little bit of the video, so you can see the fern silhouettes and these are DNA data that are real. So these are genetic data that we are producing as part of this project. So additionally, we made a co-exhibition of the primary research materials from which the artworks are derived. So you can see these 2 vitrines, and the 2 vitrines it's one that was made by Anna and the library about this slide collection of Dr. Howard Arnott. And this was a collection that was given to BRIT in 2018. He was a botanist, Dr. Arnott was a botanist that worked for a long time at the last university that he worked at was the University of Texas at Arlington. So these works came in 2008 from to us. And as you can see at the bottom left part, you can see the real slides from which Dornith did the collection. So So here is the vitrine about that. And then we also did a vitrine, and this was mainly done by my amazing research assistant, Kimberly Sasson, about the Ferns of Colombia project. And we highlighted here one of the students that is a master's student, and she's also our research assistant in Colombia, Susana. And we kind of tell a little bit about how is that we collected these ferns that were used as part of Dornith art. So we thought this will be a perfect complement to the exhibit because people will be able to see the remarkable and the irreplaceable record of botanical diversity that is captured by researchers by such projects. And it's also safeguarded and preserved for the future by the BRIT Library and the BRIT Herbarium. So just by being, if you can see here, I didn't point out the past, the Athenaeum that Dornith did was just here at the back. So these were in close proximity to the artworks. So additionally, we worked with a Colombian graphic designer to create this catalog and an invitation card. They are only in English, but there are versions of Spanish as PDFs in the website. So here is the invitation card. So people who visit the exhibition can get this catalog, this brochure, that has a little bit of explanation about who we are and the artworks and the different projects that are involved and highlighted in the artworks. So this is the exhibition, and is there, if someone is around and want to come visit it, please do so. If you want to talk to us, just let us know, we'll be happy. The gallery is only open during weekdays. But if you really want to come, I encourage you to do so. And if you want to come during a weekend, just let us know. We can do a special tour for you, of course. So the story is that in July 2020, the former community education manager, Erin White, at the Botanical Research Institute of Texas, they contacted local artist Dornith Doherty to explore opportunities for Doherty to create artworks using the Forward Botanic Garden and the BRIT research collections. So now that I know Dornith, she really said probably yes. She really wanted to do something local. And if you don't know Dornith, Dornith is a university distinguished research professor at the University of North Texas in Denton, Texas. And she is very well known, and she is a photographer, and she has worked with art and science, digital imaging. And here on top of this slide, you can see some of the exhibitions that she has had and where they have happened. So I'm just going to read from Dornith bio. Dornith's chief concerns are the philosophical, cultural, and ecological questions, often left invisible when considering human entangle in our rapidly changing environment. So this confluence of interests that Dornith has really has led her to collaborate with a lot of people, scientists, archives, seed banks, natural history collections, and research institute dedicated to preserving biodiversity. And so she has been doing this since 2008, but she always have worked in different places besides Texas. So she was really looking for a local connection. And so this is when I was invited by Erin to meet Dornith. And at the beginning, I was like, okay, let's see what she wants. It was great. I met Dornith, and like immediately I said, yes, let's work. And because I was already working in this grant, the Ferns of Colombia, and we were in the field, I kind of like told Dornith, maybe you would like to see the specimens that we're bringing from the field and see if they inspire you or if there's anything you wanna do with that. So that was in May 2021. So there was a year in which I think Dornith and Erin talked about, and finally it happened. And when it happened and they decided, yes, we're going to do this, then Erin was like, okay, I'm going to connect the researchers and the collections people with Dornith. And so that's when it happens. And before I go any further, I would like to tell you a little bit about this project because it was highlighted in the artwork, and also because it's very close to my heart and I've been spending a lot of time in it. And so the project Helechos de Colombia is It's a national science foundation project, and it's a consortium of, it's a collaboration between a lot of institutions in the USA and also in Colombia. The list of the Colombian institutions keep growing, which is very great. We're trying to create a network. There are a lot of botanists in Colombia interested in ferns and working on ferns. So we really want to facilitate this network by collaborating with them. And it was one of my long held dreams, because as Ana said, I am from Colombia. I love ferns, but it was just great to be able to get the funding from here, which we have from NSF, and be able to do this 4 or 5 year project. Colombia is one of the most biodiverse countries and species rich countries on earth. And in the Americas, in all the Americas, is the one that has more ferns. But ferns are not well understood. There are still a lot of things that we want to know about them, and a lot of new species to discover. So basically, this the aim of the project is to improve humanity's understanding of how many fern species exist in Colombia, where they occur, and how many of them are threatened with extinction. We are revising historical collections deposited in herbaria. We are performing field expeditions to understudy regions of Colombia. We are producing new digital research tools and genomic resources that hopefully will be used by a lot of people outside of this project. And so with that, we want to improve scientific collaboration by providing training for US and Colombian students in biodiversity research. And after all, we want to spread the love for ferns, diversity, and nature, so that we have a closer connection to them, and also that helps conservation. And so we were doing our first expedition at that point, where we brought a lot of specimens. And so Dornith was able to see all those specimens here. I'm just showing a map of where we were. This is the Western Andes of Colombia, a very, very rich place. We spent there like 28 days, and you can see the tracks and that we did. And we didn't collect every single fern. We still, I think, have a couple of places that needed more time, but we were 6 researchers only collecting ferns. So when Dornith came, it was interesting because we have already did one little art science interaction with 2 people here that are very close to my heart as well. So we did some videos with Elena and Rodrigo, who is my brother. And so the idea is that we were in the field, and whenever I had internet, which wasn't a lot, I will send through WhatsApp photos of what we were seeing. So you are going to see that on videos. You're going to see that the quality is not great, but we were just playing. It was the first expedition. We were really excited. And so I will send those things and those photos, and they will put together these videos, and Rodrigo will do the original music. So this was kind of like a game, but it was a way to also start thinking about how we can just tell our story to other people. And that's why it was so amazing when Dornith came and also got interested in the specimens and what we do. And I want to play you only one video, and this video I want to also play it so that you can see where the specimens that Dornith was photographing came from. So hopefully you can see hear also the music. So pressing and thinking is pensando and pensando, and that's why also those words were kind of like they were playing with them, Rodrigo and Elena. So as you can see, these are the specimens that we bring. Normally when we do our research, we take pieces of the ferns so that we can take them back to the herbarium to do research and to be able to look at them more closely and be able to identify them and put a species name on them, right? And I'm sorry. And so if you can see, we also, what we used to press to make these specimens flat are newspapers. And that's what Dornith was loving it, because normally it's just the newspapers, old newspapers, but they are not super old. So they are the papers that have the new headlines from the country. And we use Colombian newspapers. Some people, when they travel, they bring their own newspapers because they like them. We have like, there are specific newspapers that we love because of the size. They have the special size so that the specimens can then be mounted in with the perfect size in a herbarium specimen. So talking about herbaria, so when Erin contacted me and we started thinking about the herbarium specimens that we were bringing from the field, of course I thought about the herbarium. That's where everything is, and that's where everything starts and ends and keeps going. And so I told Dornith and Erin that we should also invite Tiana Rehman, who is the Herbarium Director of the Phycology Herbarium at the Botanical Research Institute of Texas. And that's how Tiana came to the team. And as always, Tiana was super willing to show Dornith the treasures that are in the herbarium. The herbarium has 1.5 million specimens. And as you can see here in this photo, this is how specimens are stored for the most part. But the herbarium has slides collections, have pollen collections, and as you can see here at the left of the picture of Tiana, we also have fruits. So Tiana talking to Dornith and showing her around, they both discover this collection of slides of Dr. Howard Arnott. And so we have so many objects and we don't have enough time and people that sometimes we get these gifts from people, we safeguard them, but there's no time to really process them. So when Dornith came, she kind of like discovered this collection and she decided she loved it. You can see how the ghost also leaves. They are clear leaves that are used normally for anatomy or for description of the vein patterns of the leaves. But they were in boxes, they were full of steel dust. So Dornith kind of like she helped us cleaning the slides. And also this collection not only came with the slides, but also came with the notes, with the notebooks of this, where these collections were from. And that's how Ana Niño, the librarian, got involved, because this is the library that all these notebooks are preserved in the library. So Ana started also communicating with Dornith and giving her all the materials and all the boxes of these notebooks that Dr. Arnott had. And Dornith was the one who put together the notebooks and the slides with the help, of course, of Ana and Tiana. And so this is the last woman of the team. And Ana wasn't only the librarian, like all of us at the end, and you're going to see, end up doing way more things that what we were expecting from ourselves to make this exhibition happen. So it begins. Dornith started to come to the Botanical Research Institute of Texas library and herbarium. She started coming, looking at things. She will come twice a week. And she was just really looking at these primary source materials that we have in both the herbarium and the BRIT library. Eventually, we will have lunch and we will talk about the project of Ferns of Colombia a little bit. So I told her about the genomic part, and she was also really interested. So I will take her to the lab or even to my computer just to show her this some of this data, and she got really interested, and that's how she made also the video. So there were two breaking points. So I met Dornith in May 2021, and she started working probably before, a little bit before, coming to the herbarium and looking at everything. But in July 2021, because of changes in the organization, the Forward Botanic Garden and BRIT, they decided that they were moving away from exhibiting community artists working the gallery, and they decided that they want to focus more on the sculptures throughout the campus. And this is kind of the trend that the Forward Botanic Garden is going. So that was kind of like a difficult time for us, but Erin was able to say, okay, this Dornith exhibit is going to happen in 2023, and we acknowledge that it might be the last exhibition that is happening here, but we were able to keep going. But in February 2022, Erin leaves her job, and that was also a really kind of like difficult time for the exhibition, because Erin was the one who was making the connection, and she was also, she had an expertise on putting together exhibitions that none of us had, like neither Tiana, Ana, or I. So we were just kind of like the resource persons for Dornith. We were happy to interact with her, but we didn't have any expertise. So next, I would like to make a reflection of some of the major challenges, how we face them and what we learned from them. But before, I want to show you that it happened. I already told you, but this was a big success. We are very happy we were able to put this exhibition together with the help of many, many people and our institutions. So this was during the opening. We have more than 140 people that came to the opening. It was great. We had a lot of people from the community outside of research or art. A lot of artists came, a lot of students from UNT, our neighbors. So it was great. The turnout was great. We did, as you can see here in the photograph in the lower right corner, that we had a panel discussion. The four of us were there telling a little bit about what the exhibition meant for us, and Dornith was able to really also tell the public how she worked around to do these amazing artworks. So here is Erin with at the right. That was Erin, the original person that invited Dornith and that made all the connections. It was great. She was able to come to the opening. And as you can see here, well, we were able to showcase artwork. So I just think this is very positive and I wanted to start with this positive part that happened, just because I'm just going to talk very briefly about some of the challenges. The exhibition is not happening. It has activated some of the spaces that normally visitors don't visit because they are mostly research. They are open to the public, but people don't come. So this exhibition has activated these spaces. People are visiting and asking questions about what we do in research, which I think is very important. And even co-workers, people from the garden and from BRIT, that work in the building, that pass through these places, are also asking questions and also admiring the beauty of the collection. So I think it has been a success all around. Here are some numbers. Just the opening, as I say, has 140 attendees. We also did Gallery Night, which is an event in spring here in Fort Worth that has 50 attendees. We have given tours, and different people have given tours of the universities, schools, art classes. We think we have more, and like outside of these two events, we have more than 300 visitors, and we have more than 8,000 social media reactions. As you can see, we have a guest book where people can leave notes, and they have been leaving amazing, uplifting notes for the art and for the research that is involved in this exhibition. We also have colleagues visiting for the opening reception. So it was a success. We are very happy to have had it here, and it's still going. So we're very proud of it. So what were some of the challenges? Leadership was one. As I say, Erin left, and we were kind of left with Dornith, like, okay, what are we gonna do? Are we going to continue or not? But Dornith has worked so much already on the exhibition, and so we decided as a team to keep going. And we knew at that point that it was going to be difficult because none of us had the expertise. And so that means time. When you have to learn new things or just communicate with different people so that it happens, that means always times from what we do. So the challenge was that leadership was just at some point missing. And so how did we solve it, or how did we learn? Again, it was collaboration and communication between all of us. I think Ana, Tiana, Dornith, and I did everything that we could for this exhibition to happen. We put a lot of our time and resources to make it happen. And so it happened, but it was a challenge. The second challenge, as you probably are aware, which when art is involved and science is involved, is funding. And so we did send a couple of different proposals to different agencies, mostly Ana. It wasn't funded, so it was kind of difficult. But as scientists and probably librarians and archivists, we are used to work on shoestring budgets. So I think that was probably how we did it. We diversify a little bit, and that's how we put also, I decided that we had some components of outreach in the grant of Ferns of Colombia. So we decided to use that funding for that, and it was great. And then also our universities, our institutions helped a little bit, different programs and departments within the botanical garden help us and pitch a little bit each. So diversify and go to family and friends and ask, like, this was really important to us. Dornith put a lot of money from her own money to be able to have this exhibit. So that's how we solve it, or what we learn. So you need to family, friends, and diversify to have the funding. Experience was also a challenge for us because, as I say, we are not part of, we don't know how to mount a gallery exhibit, and this is not our background, and we have a lot of different activities. So what I think, and my reflection is that we solved this by establishing priorities, things that we said, like, no, this is not possible. We are not going to be able to do it. So this is, for example, this video that was just running was the installation of the big panels. It was expensive, but it was so worth it because they were so big and we were just going to have a hard time installing them. So we established priorities and decided what were the things that we were going to be able to do or not. And we used the money for those priorities. And the other thing, sometimes we solve them just by doing them ourselves. The other challenge was the space and location. So this is a research institute, and the building gets used for many things. So it's not a gallery where people are used to just see exhibitions, and they are not spaces only for that. So these two pictures were kind of the first ideas that we had, how the exhibition will look like. Dornith had this idea of having these panels just as the all news reading rooms, and maybe illuminate them from the back so that they were just more, the colors were, the differences in between the silhouettes of the ferns and the colors were more bright. But we weren't able to do that because this space where we put the gallery also is used for other events, as weddings or conferences. So, and the other example here is that we really wanted to put these panels, the enlarged slide collections, at the front of the building. So when the people came in, they will be able to see this beautiful installation. It wasn't possible, again, because this space gets rented for weddings, and maybe people that are not botanists, they wanted to see the prairie and the flowers instead of the art. So how did we solve that? Flexibility. I think Dornith was very flexible. It's so great also to work with artists and scientists. We're always kind of like, we know we have to change things on the go, but Dornith was super flexible. She really wanted to this exhibition to happen here at the Forward Botanic Garden and the BRIT. She wanted to have it local. And again, we needed to communicate with the people who use these spaces. So communication was also key, and staying positive. I mean, I think there were many drawbacks in the sense that we wanted to do something and it wasn't possible. And we were kind of like, oh. So staying positive in between the four of us was very important, so that we were able to also enjoy the path, the process, and we are just so proud to see the exhibition up. It's not what we wanted it to be from, or what Dornith, it's not all that she imagined, but we are so happy to see it. So sometimes many times you have to be flexible, and this is how we overcome this. So here we are. This was the discussion panel. I just wanted to bring it. There is a video, and so you can QR code it where you can see the whole discussion panel. It was very nice. This was the opening. Here we are just so happy to have shared and have had this exhibition. And so I just wanted to share with you. Of course, there won't be any time to show it, but maybe you can, if you are interested, to hear what we had to say about the art, the library, the herbarium, and the research involved in this exhibition. Here you are. Here you can hear it. And the other thing is that for me, the panel was very nice because I could see that the public was really interested in the art, but it was very, very interesting how the public also asked many questions about research, library, herbaria, the connections that we made for the specimens. So it was really nice to see that the exhibition brought all these questions to people and let people also reflect on not only art, but on these connections between art, science, and archives and herbarium, and the importance of the different gazes that bringing art to these places can bring to the, like, for people to think about conservation of plants, collections, etc. So we did it. After all, so what's next? We are thinking that it would be great, and these are the perspectives that I want to bring. So here is a photo of a workshop that we gave as part of the Colombian Botanical Conference last year. It was a workshop on ferns for undergrads and graduate students, mostly undergrads. So there is a lot of interest from students and people in Colombia about ferns, and we are creating all these materials or this beautiful exhibition that it's based on based on some of the collections that are from there. So we really would like to have a second version of it in Colombia, so that Colombians can see this exhibition. And I think it's going to promote very different gazes than the ones we have here. And for instance, our collaborator and master student, Susana, she's now visiting Forward, the garden and the collections at BRIT. And it was very special for me when she saw the exhibition. She was really happy to see the ferns. She was really moved by all these headlines of the newspapers. So it was very, it made her think about the peace process and all that. Colombia just signed a peace with some of the armed groups 5 years ago. So that has opened a lot of possibilities for research. So being a Colombian living in Colombia, I think Susana was the first one that visited this exhibition, at least that I was able to be there for. And so I was really moved by what she thought about the exhibition. And she definitely said couple of times that we need to bring this exhibition to Colombia. So these are the perspectives, and we just sent a project to the public affairs section of the U.S. Embassy in Colombia. They have some awards, so we just sent in. We are very hopeful, and part of it is to bring Illuminations 2.0 to the Medellin Botanical Garden, and hopefully to other places in Colombia. So with that, I just want to thank the Ferns of Colombia team Here are some of the main characters. We have way more people, but these are our students and assistants here at the Fort Worth Botanic Garden, and my colleagues, Michael Sondon West Testo. And here are all the institutions that are involved in the Ferns of Colombia. And I really would like to thank the communities, because these are the ones that fight, and they are there like preserving their territories, so that these plants are there, and they are giving us permissions to also sample. All the friends, they are also friends and family in the Ferns of Colombia projects, that without whom we weren't able to do much. And here are all our social networks or tags in case you are interested in knowing more about the project. And last but not least, again, I would like to acknowledge everybody who has been involved in this exhibition, Illuminations. Here in this QR code, if you scan it, you can see more about the exhibition and learn a little bit more about Dornith and her artwork, and the Friends of Colombia project, and the library and the herbarium. I wanna really thank within our institution, the Fort Worth Botanical Garden, the BRIT research team, the BRIT library, the BRIT herbarium, the education department that also came and helped us with some funding and some of the logistic aspects. Of course, our families, the artists, of course, Dornith Doherty, Kimberly, Sazan, who is the research assistant of Ferns of Colombia. And most of the photos I show here are from Rachel Carmichael, who was the photographer of our event. She is a researcher and works mostly at the herbarium and in research at BRIT, but she offered and she volunteered to take the pictures of that event. So we are very thankful, and that's why you were able to enjoy the photos. So I'm going to end up here and open the microphones, or if you want to say anything, Ana, a little bit more about this exhibition and what it meant for you, you are welcome to do it. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Ale. It's really wonderful getting this whole timeline of events rehashed, especially since it's still kind of fresh, and because, you know, I'd been working on planning CBHL, I hadn't really gotten to process it all. But for me, this exhibition represented a really great entry point for me to get to know one of our archival collections, that of Howard Arnott, and figure out how I wanted to curate those materials so that they could speak to, or in conjunction with, the art that is the vinyl clings that were placed upstairs. And yeah, I'll really say that I feel so lucky to work with the people I do, like Dr. Ale Vasco and Tiana in the herbarium, and Dornith was a joy to work with too. But this project gave me, you know, more of a push to integrate myself more with my colleagues. As you know, I'm still a little bit new to the botanical library setting. And I think with that comes these questions of, okay, what is my role here? And what am I here to do? And, you know, even having conversations with them and then getting to learn about that field work, that active research being done and the various applications of it has helped me to understand, you know, the work that I do and that I can do moving forward. And so, yeah, I feel very lucky to have picked up on many of the skills that we picked up on during the process. It did not all happen seamlessly or easily, but you know,
all
that's
the things that we learned that we didn't want to learn, right?
Yes, but you know, you never really know when skills will come in handy. And yeah, I just learned so much with these amazing women. I feel very blessed to have gotten this experience. So
thanks, Ana. Thanks.
I'm seeing lots of wonderful comments in the chat. And yeah, thank you all for being so complimentary. I'm wondering if anyone has some questions they'd like to ask Ale or myself. We've got, looks like 15 minutes. Amanda,
everybody's shy. I want to say, I forgot to say something, is that we are really looking forward to have this exhibition in Colombia. We hope it happens. But if anyone is also interested in ferns and want to bring the exhibition to either your library, your herbarium, or maybe you know someone, we are really, and I say by we, I mean all of us, but mostly the artists will be really thrilled to have this exhibition. The one nice thing about this exhibition is that it can travel in the sense that Dornith was so flexible because of the many things we have to change during the way, that I think she will be willing also to kind of intervene other spaces in you all's places if this is something that you are interested in or that you have funding. So just let us know.
Yes, the exhibition has legs and can travel. Okay. Tom looks like he's got his hand raised. Tom, did you want to ask a question?
Yes, thank you very much for a wonderful presentation. I'm very impressed with the way in which you got the public involved. Now, a bit of a technical question. How many species of ferns do you think there are in Colombia?
How many species of ferns?
Yeah.
I think they are in Colombia. We calculate that there are around 1,500 species in Colombia. Just for reference, the whole United States have around 650 or 700.
Wow.
And we also calculate that there are probably 200 or 300 species to be discovered or described. You know, they haven't been described to science. So it's a huge endeavor.
A huge endeavor. Just to follow up, are people researching the history of ferns? In other words, looking for geological deposits that would have impressions of ferns on them?
Yes, there are, and we have there are many paleobotanist students and in Colombia and outside of Colombia researching some of the fossils that have occurred. Mainly, they are a lot of people working in the northern of Colombia and Panama. There are some coal mines that have a lot of fossils, and so people from the Smithsonian in Panama and some other researchers at the national universities in Colombia are working, doing that very important work as well.
Thank you very much.
No, thanks for your questions. I also see another question here in the chat, Anita. I don't know, is
yes,
Elena?
Elena.
Yeah, Elena. So she says, I might have missed this point, but did you reach out to any art student assistant with the install or other parts of the exhibition? And yes, we kind of left the art part to Dornith, and Dornith did reach out to some art students, and she actually paid them to install the 12 panels in the gallery. They were installed by art students or colleagues from Dornith, because that's another priority. We say it's just going to be very difficult to have them perfectly aligned. We are not experts on doing that. If you can see, the ones that I've hang here in my in my house are probably not perfect. So yes, but I don't know if Anna wants to complement that.
Yeah, I think we had explored the idea of having art students, current students working on studio art or interested in even museum studies, helping out with installation. I think just because it came together a little bit last minute, we weren't able to explore those options further, but that would have been a really great way to both cut down on costs and then give, art students wanting that type of experience, that experience. So we did talk about it, but in the end, yeah, we kind of just drew upon Dornith's connections for the install. And then Ashley asked if we have any favorite fern books. I don't think that I have one off the top of my head, though. I will say BRIT Press has the Ferns and Lycophytes of Texas. So, but yeah, I haven't gotten to dive into the world of fern books all that much. What about you, Ale?
Oh no, of course I don't have any. I have too many. So besides the Ferns and Lycophytes of Texas, which is a very, very nicely done book, and if you are in Texas or even in any other place and you can get your hands, it's just a very well and beautiful book with lots of super informative notes. I can put the link later there. I have two other fern books that come to mind. There are some of my favorites, and one is talking about this, and this is a topic that came also during the panel discussion in a question. It was the similarity that some of the artworks that Dornith made had with the cyanotypes. And so she points out that a lot of times her work has been compared with these cyanotypes. And with that is this, there is a beautiful book, The Cyanotypes of British and Foreign Ferns by Anna Atkins. And this is one of the first books of ferns. And so I think that's one of my favorite books. And I wanted to highlight it here. And if you haven't seen it, you just go to your botanical library and take a look at it and get like super, super in love with her work. She also worked with algae, but the fern book is just fantastic. And last but not least, if you want to learn more about ferns, there is a beautiful book, which is called A Natural History of Ferns by Robin Moran, that it's really amazing as well. Thanks for the question, Ashley.
Yeah, I think that's really great, the full circle nature of how that type of photography, cyanotypes, was discovered with the use of photographing algae and ferns. And here we have this 21st century photographer kind of messing with an end product that looks like the cyanotype, but isn't quite that. It looks like Brandy's got her hand raised.
Hi, you guys, great job. Hi, Ale. Hi, Anna. Great job. It's really incredible to see this. I have a couple questions. One is, I'm assuming that Dornith has been involved with you in terms of the potential Illuminations 2.0 in Colombia? Yes.
Yes. And that was the first thing we did when the Botanical Garden in Medellin approached us. I mean, we have a collaboration with them for the project, and also a lot of friends of mine work there. And so when I went last time to Colombia in February, I brought the catalogs and I brought the cards just to kind of share with them. And they got really interested. And so when this opportunity came and they contacted me, the first thing we did was actually ask Dornith if she was willing to do it and if she was willing to work, because I'm not saying, and I'm not thinking that flexibility ends here with this exhibition. I mean, if we take it to Colombia, it will be different challenges, and for sure, we need to be flexible. So yeah, she was totally on board. If we get the funding, she will be traveling to Colombia to just to give a talk or a workshop, we'll see what, but at least to interact. And it's actually a dream of hers. Since we became really close, and I can say that we are now all, like the four of us, friends. And so we will have lunches, and I will come back from my expeditions and will tell her all about them. And we always dream like, oh, it would be great. Even before having the exhibition already in place, we were always dreaming that we really want to bring this exhibition to Colombia. And I think it will generate different cases. And so, yeah, she was involved.
Oh, that's great. And then my second question is, with your NSF project, have you found any new species of ferns?
Yes. So we haven't, they are not published yet. So when you have new species and you are describing them for science, to be validly published, they have to be published in a journal. And so we are actually now in the process of sending 2 new species that we found in the first expedition, but we have a really long list of things that we cannot identify, and we are always like, okay, is this something that was already described in neighboring countries like Venezuela or Panama? or Ecuador, for instance, or is this something that is new that we haven't been able to identify because it's not described yet? So yes, things are going to come soon. And actually, one of the artworks of the ferns of Dornith highlights one species that we think is new. We didn't put anything, so but yeah, at the end, when we were just really one thing is that Dornith never exchanged the newspapers. So we weren't cheating in that. She wasn't cheating in that way. I mean, the newspaper that come with the artwork was the newspaper that we used to press that specific collection. So some of the collections, the ferns were really interesting, but the newspapers were not as interesting. So she really looked at a lot of collections and picked these 12 because of different things. But the art part was important, but also at the end, I was also giving her feedback about what collections I thought were worth highlighting. So some of these artworks highlight new species, also some specimens from species that haven't been collected in 200 years. So we collected them as part of this project, and they were the last collection that was deposited in a herbarium was from 200 years ago. And so many of these places that we are visiting as part of this NSF project are places that were out of borders because of the armed conflict. And that's why peace has been, like this peace process that Colombia has signed, has been instrumental in opening these places for research, but also for other things. Like now people can go and cut the forest down. So we are racing against time to really discover and better understand diversity in these very, very highly diverse places on Earth. So yeah, you are going to see a couple of new species here and there. I will send them to you when they come to light.
Sure. Excuse me, thank you so much. I think your NSF project is so important, and this exhibition is just really surpassed my expectations. So thank you for sharing this.
Oh, thank you. Come visit us before it's done. It would be great to have you here.
All right, well, I'll open up the floor one more time for questions. We've got 2 minutes. Any last questions for Dr. Vasco? Okay. Nothing's coming through in the chats.
Okay, so we can give this minute to whoever wants to meditate about ferns and research. But thank you so much, everyone, for coming. It was great. Anna, so the recording is going to be available, right? So in case.
Yes, we will be recording. Well, we're recording all presentations, and then we'll be uploading them to YouTube shortly after the annual meeting. But they will only be up for 3 months, is the agreement that we've struck with some other presenters. So you'll have to watch them, by those 3 months, or if you don't get the chance to, I'd recommend maybe downloading the video file once it's on YouTube.
And maybe we will put this also at the Ferns of Colombia, at least this one on the Ferns of Colombia YouTube. And that's why I enter all these QR codes, so that it's easy when you see the presentations or the slides to get to some of the materials that we put together. So I hope everybody comes for the exhibition.
Yes. I was just going to say, you do a great job of leaving many digital breadcrumbs. So thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone, and keep enjoying the conference. I think I'm honored to have been invited, and I really, as you can see, I really admire librarians and all the work that you all do. So do get in touch with us if you are willing to get through the challenges and put that exhibition in your institution. Bye. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, Ale.